This time during the sesshin period, I have two reminders which are very much connected with each other and which are very, very basic. And those who would really take it to heart and work with it, to begin with at least these 3 weeks, to be very wholeheartedly, consequently working with it, will see that it is bringing about such a different quality of clarity, of peace, of intelligence, of humanity, and joy in your life. It is not a false promise. It is challenging. It's challenging because you are required to not follow the automatism blindly, and you need to face things. But it is so deeply valuable. Okay, now I come to it. The two things are, which are very basic facts which you all understand some way, which you can observe, but which we often don't bring so consequently into the living. And that is what is valuable in this reminder period, to start consequently to bring it. So in the morning when you wake up, make it visible to yourself how relative the whole knowledge is. When you bring it into your consideration, all your knowledge is part of your conditioning. All the values which you have, the standards which you have got it either through the background where you are growing up, from the family, from the surroundings, from the society, from the culture, from the religion, from the politics. But these are not standards which you have deliberately taken. And also some of the experiences which you made, which are positive and negative. And more important to that is to realize that you cannot go with a fixed concept and follow it blindly, because life is going on changing. Every situation is new. Every moment is new. So, just like in the case of rules in the society, you need to consider it and apply it to the given situation. But often that's not happening. Often people are just following rules blindly because it's convenient. They just don't recognize that their interpretation of the rule is their interpretation. So, in this way, become aware that you don't really know. And the next and the deeper factor connected with this aspect is our logical, rational mind with which we are judging and categorizing, comparing, is part of the greater reality. It is not capable to understand in the logical level and put everything in a fixed box, in a label. It is very valuable for our being in the game of the world. It is necessary, you need to use it. It's not to be made into a problem. But you need to understand, this logical, rational mind is not capable to fix everything and make a knowledge of it. So the more you carefully remember and consider this, that all knowledge is relative, and deep within you don't know. In a way, Socrates came to this conclusion, this deep insight, through his experimentation, through considerations. And told the people from the oracle in Delphi who came to him to say that the oracle says you are one of the wisest human beings on the earth now. And Socrates said, normally what the oracle says, I have great consideration, great respect for it, and great deep value to it. But in this case, in my case, I can only say one thing clearly. I've come to recognize that I know only one thing, that I don't know. In this insight is a very deep basis for the human development, because then it will reveal to you a different reality. Then you start connecting to the reality directly and deeply. But the process of coming to that is through encountering your usual perception, the habitual settlements, facing the fears, facing the clinging to certain concepts and beliefs, clinging to certain desires and dreams. You have to face everything the way it is in you. It is not that you have to do anything against or for something. You have to see things the way they are. And before you start the day, take some moments to definitely, deeply confront this factor of your knowledge. And when you can remember through your own consideration that deep within you don't know, that this knowledge, what one uses, howsoever interesting and relevant it is, you cannot hold to it blindly. So this is the first remembrance which you need to keep during the day in many ways into visibility. Now I'm bringing another aspect which is very much basic also to understand this, because that the whole support for the remembrance is connected with this observance of darkness in life, shadows in life. In the biblical statement, there's a saying where God said, "Let there be light," and there came light. Prior to light and prior to the manifestation of the life process, there is the primordial darkness. This primordial darkness is like the primordial innocence in everyone. And when you are not holding to the knowledge and not just suppressing it, not just pushing it down blindly, but through careful consideration, because those who have been working on themselves, and this is mainly for those who have been confronting and questioning themselves more deeply, it is understandable, it is feelable, it can be recognized. So, this time you take in the morning, you bring it in such a way also as a remembrance. Whenever you see any shadow anywhere, whenever you see darkness, remind yourself of the not knowledge, the limitation of knowledge. Remind yourself of the fact that I don't know. Just this basic remembrance to be kept alive. So this is the first reminder. And the second reminder is connected with the first one very much, because in the application you will see it. The second reminder is that during this period, at least of this sesshin time of the 3 weeks, you are going to really stay with such an orientation that you accept what life brings and are not going into blind fighting and reacting, but you will look, consider, and respond. This is, in a way, it has been told many times, and you have been considering it perhaps also on your own many times. But when you consequently bring it very deliberately into living, it has a different quality because it is going to become experiential understanding for you. So, you know that what life brings, it is not in your hand. And if you just go on blindly fighting, reacting automatically, you are missing the point. You are not using your intelligence. So, accept what life brings and remember to respond. Respond is the difference between reaction in this way that you consider it, you look into it, you take some moments to feel and see, and then look what is an answer. What is that what your intelligence is revealing to you? What is it that what your understanding is showing to you? Then you are including the sensibility of your heart. Then you are including the possibility of connecting to the deeper factors and aspects in the reality which otherwise you are not in the automatic reaction considering. So, at least on 5 occasions during the day, do this very deliberately. I'm trying to give it in this kind of way that at least 5, so that you see that at least you need to keep it as a remembrance. More is good, and actually everywhere it is valuable. But at least see that you work with it. It is a work because it's going against the automatic pull in you. Maybe there's somebody who's really unfriendly to you and so nasty to you and you want to hit back. But you don't go blindly with it. You look. What is all happening in me? What is getting touched in me? What are the undercurrent factors working in me? And what is my intelligence showing? What is an answer? You may not have an answer immediately. You may have to wait. You may have to look. But you are not allowing yourself to be in a robot state. You are not just behaving on the animal level where you just react only by fighting or running away. You just look. You allow your human capacity of consciousness to come in. This will be very valuable if you can take it to heart and work with it. The basic inner flowering is really supported in a deep, deep way. So work with it. The first reminder connected with whenever you see darkness, remembering that you don't know. And when you wake up in the morning, take some moments to just bring that very consciously, very deliberately into your consideration. And then bring this. And the second reminder, accepting what life brings first by not going into the blind reaction, not going into blind fighting and indulging, but looking, considering, and allow a response. Even though it looks a little difficult, but in your understanding that these are basic facts of life. And you are just starting to really be honest with yourself. You are starting to be really concerned to bring your understanding into living. And nobody else can do it for you. So, bring it into practice. Let it become a very deep help. And I would like to hear from everybody who is here or listening to it now from elsewhere or listening to it from the YouTube, if you can give your experiential understanding what has happened in this, I would like to hear from you sometime when you are practicing it, how it is for you, what are the difficulties which you are having. So, in the next weeks or in the next period, months, years, I don't know when somebody comes to it, only maybe in some weeks or months or years. So, still I would like to hear from you.